Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully, I am live. I'm just going to assume I'm live. And so, if you happen to be passing by or watching and wanting to know what on earth I'm talking about, then please type a comment in the chat box below this video. You're likely to be watching this from YouTube, or you might even be watching this from my Facebook page. And as I broadcast, a lot of people within the UK, anyway, are getting ready for their Easter break. And to either have time off, downtime, spend time with family, and do 101 other things. But I wanted to talk to you today in the next kind of 15 minutes about what to do if you want to speak more, and really if you want to speak more, because a lot of people have been asking me this question. But here's why I chose this topic for today. Number one, I thought before a slightly longer weekend, it might be useful and beneficial that you get actually 5 minutes to sit down and watch this video. So if you're watching on the replay, hello, please do type a comment in the box below. You can ask me a question, you can let me know about something I've said, or anything else like that. It's actually a very great way to gain visibility. However, what to do if you want to speak more? So this week, Facebook, my private Facebook, reminded me that just 3 years ago, so shortly before the pandemic, it was a big week of speaking for me. And I normally don't book too many kind of bigger speaking gigs in the space of a week. So tip number one, why? Because when you're giving a 45, 60-minute or 90-minute talk, and you book in a lot of them in the week, you need to be able to really take care of your voice. As I once learned many years ago, when 2 weeks before a speaking gig, I had a cold, didn't think anything of it. And then in the last 7 days towards, the run up of that particular speaking gig, I lost my voice. Oh my gosh, what do you do when you lose your voice? That's a whole new story for another time. If that's something you're interested in learning about, just type in the box below and let me know, and I'll make another video for you. But this week, 3 years ago, there were lots and lots and lots of speaking. And what I reflected on as I looked back was how those speaking gigs came about. And I know that there are lots of schools of thoughts. Hi, Suddy. Hi. Saying hi back to you there. There were lots of thoughts about how you quote unquote get speaking gigs. And here's the thing. I have been really fortunate. I was saying this to a friend of mine yesterday. I've been really fortunate that over the years of like podcast interviews and speaking gigs, I've had a lot of people come to me, but there will always be a reason for it. So if you're looking at getting more speaking gigs, then here are some tips that I'm going to share in the next few minutes. And I want to say an extra special hi to Suddy, because Suddy is from Pakistan. Hello, Pakistan. I'm waving. I hope you can see me across the ethers. Isn't this great? You know, many years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do this and converse. So I wanted to share some tips, if you like. And the reason that I'm speaking about this isn't just because I had this kind of like week of speaking. It's really because I've had some really great, I call them pinch me moments. You know, the ones where you pinch yourself and think, gosh, is this really happening? And has this happened to me? So looking at my notes, there were times where I struggled and thought to myself, how am I going to speak? Where am I going to speak? There were times where I worried, will I land with the audience well enough? You know, do they want somebody, I don't know, more famous? Do they want somebody more articulate? Do they want somebody, you know, more male or female? Do they want somebody, more senior or junior? All of these things go through our minds. But if we stop there, it can somehow stop us from doing the things we want to do. So what did I do 3 years ago? Why did I do so many speaking gigs? So the first one that I spoke, the first event that I spoke at was on a luxury yacht in London. And it was actually a short training segment for 90 minutes, I believe, from memory. It was 90 minutes of training on something, a body of my work called Conversations. And this was specifically designed to focus in on those conversations, the telephone conversations or in-person conversations we have when we are selling something. We could be selling a product or service, or we could be selling ourselves. But it was designed to increase the close rate by at least 20 to 40%. And as a result of that, I actually got in the trade press, as well as being able to spend time with over 40 different businesses that were pulled together by this company. And then on that same week, I spoke at a conference that was organised by an international network, which meant there were people from all over the world at that particular conference. And with that conference, I spoke live and in person too. So it wasn't a virtual speaking gig. And there's so many different options for speaking gigs. Perhaps I'll do another thing at that time. So if you've got requests on things you'd like me to share with you, I'll happily share them. And if somebody else is a subject matter and that expert, I'll persuade them to come on and share their stuff with you too. So on that particular one, I spoke on a stage and in a room. Actually, I did the same talk a couple of different times at a conference so that people could book and select. And of course, I spoke about being visible and raising your professional profile, which is my most favorite thing to do. I've been doing that for 12 years. So what to share with you in terms of if you want to speak more. So the first thing to do is to assess, like honestly assess, and there's so many different types of speaking. You could be an employee and you want to speak up more at work. You want to host meetings, chair meetings, you know, public speak for work as an employee. So there's that type of public speaking. It could be that you're a freelancer or business owner and you want to incorporate speaking into your business. So it might not be the main focus of what you do. If you think of well-known people, Jack Canfield is very well known. You know, he has a very speaking-based business, but he does do other things too, trainings, consultancy, and stuff like that. So it could be that you want to use speaking to enhance that. It could be that you've been speaking for years or had speaking as part of your business and you want to incorporate more of that and grow your client base that much. I just want to take a moment just to read some of your comments, Sadie. I love the way you tell how to grow oneself nowadays. Properly speaking is a phobia in general of people. Yeah, they say, you know, for some people, the fear of speaking is worse than the fear of death. So, yeah. Waiting my new videos with my new concepts. Brilliant. I've always got new concepts. We could be here for the next 100 years with the way my brain works. So thank you. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So here are some things to think about. First of all, and this is going to sound so basic, but I think that a lot of people assume that there's a certain amount of ego needed to speak, when in fact that's not true. What you do, what I would recommend you do and are clear on, are thinking about where you are in the speaking game. So if you're brand new, that's okay. You can still create speaking gigs and have more. If you've been doing it for a while, but maybe you want to turn it up a notch or two, you can do even more of that. And if you're out there and you're well known, there'll be something different, a different way for you to get more speaking gigs. But here's what you need to do ultimately. The biggest reason why many of us, regardless of whatever level we're at, don't do or go for the next level or more, is because we sometimes don't feel ready. We feel like we're an imposter. We feel like we're faking it till we make it, or we feel like somehow that next level is a little bit out of our grasp. You know, like if I was trying to grasp something out of shot, we feel like it's a little bit beyond our grasp. And therefore, we either have to study more, you know, do more, learn more from other people, be seen more, and various reasons like that. So really get clear on where you are, very specifically in the journey, and have that be part of your approach to getting more speaking. So if, for example, you're an employee, and I've been speaking to lots of really driven professionals in the last 10 days. If you're a driven professional and you want to speak more, acknowledge where you are now and acknowledge where you want to go to next. In my 5 pillars of the Visibility Activator program, the first pillar, there's a number of skill sets under that, and one of them is around visioning. This means having a firm plan, and we can only have the firm plan when we really, access where we are now and where we want to head towards. Okay, the how becomes apparent when we do that. It gives us clarity, it gives us confidence, and it means that we can put one foot in front of the other. So make sure that you do that. The next thing to do is know what kind of an impact you want to make. So for those people that are worried that you have to have a big ego to be a speaker, you actually don't. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that having a big ego can get in the way. So what I would, definitely advocate for is have a look at the impact you want to make for them. So I've been booked for 2 speaking gigs in June now. And when I was approached about those speaking gigs, my number one question is always around what their audience needs. I've had a few calls this week with different people who are wanting to know whether I can either come and train or speak to their audience. It's really important to know what the audience needs. Other ways that you might not have considered is, in the rise of so many people not only hosting podcasts, but also wanting to be guests on podcasts and video interviews and online interviews is a great way to speak to more people without having to jump on planes, aeroplanes, get into cars and spend a lot of your time traveling away from your family. So if this is something that you know that you want to do, I definitely invite you to do that. Okay, so look at ways that you can speak virtually. You can still speak one-to-many, and in fact, I've spoken at conferences, both paid to speak at conferences where I've purely been speaking online. Okay, so this is also possible too. And then the final thing before I wrap up and go on to my next call, the final thing that I would say is, and people don't often miss this step completely, you want to have the kind of clarity on the topic or topics you speak about, and you want to be able to make it easy for your host to let people know what you do. Okay, so if somebody's inviting you to like a podcast or a live speaking gig or speak at a conference or speak to a business group or network or anything else like that, your clarity in knowing where you are now, where you want to go, what the audience needs, and pulling that together very succinctly is going to be the thing that makes that person selecting you and booking you to speak and saying yes to you so much easier. And when you've collated that information in that way, bang goes the imposter syndrome, because now you know who you're speaking to, what you're speaking about. You've given them the information to make it easier for them to speak to other people. And hey presto, this step is often overlooked and it makes it so much easier. So whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, if you are planning to speak a little more, I would love you to type in the chat box and let me know. Are you looking to do online, offline, a hybrid, all of it, none of it? No way, Jenny, I don't want to do that. I want to do this instead. Let me know. Are you looking to speak to organizations, or are you already working within an organization? And remember, if you have some stuff around visibility in the form of speaking or presentations, be it on video, be it in person, then I do help with things like that. Let me know. Go over to my website, jennykovacs.com. You can see some of the businesses that I've worked with on there. And you can also, if you need to schedule a time to speak, to find out what's going to be the best course of action. And of course, visit my my YouTube channel, where I've got lots and tons of free resources and free videos for you to rifle through and look there. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to hearing what you do next. So much love to you. Bye for now.